Decluttering forms a large part of minimalism, and there are lots of lessons we can learn through the process about our relationship to our stuff. However, there are some common decluttering tips I've heard that I think could actually ruin your decluttering. So in this video, I'm going to go through those tips, explain why they could ruin your decluttering and what you can do about it. So the first decluttering tip that could ruin your decluttering is, if you're unsure, just let it go. When I first started my minimalist journey and my decluttering journey, I heard this a lot. The idea that if you're unsure about decluttering an item, that means you should absolutely get rid of it. I'm going to be honest, that made the decluttering process really stressful for me because I got stuck in this mental kind of conflict between being unsure about keeping something and feeling like I needed to let it go, but knowing that I really didn't feel ready to let this item go. And then when I did hold on to the item because I really wasn't sure about letting it go, I felt a lot of guilt because I thought I was failing at the decluttering process. The problem with this tip, I think, is that it might lead to making some rash decisions. You might feel that you have to get rid of this item even though you're really not sure about it, and I don't think that's a good idea. We don't want to make decluttering, we don't want to make minimalism a chore or an unpleasant experience. This is all meant to enhance our lives, to simplify them, to connect us more with the things that really matter. It's not meant to make us miserable. So instead, what I would recommend is put your unsure items away for a period of time. Box them up or put them in a bag, put them away for a month, out of sight, come back to them in a month's time and review them. It might be that some of the items you think, yeah, you know what, I'm ready to declutter that now. I didn't think about it too much. I don't need it. And there might be other items where you think, actually, I do want that. So by deciding that that's what you're going to do with any unsure items, you take the pressure off the need to declutter them straight away. The next tip that could ruin your decluttering is doing decluttering challenges. I'm not saying these are all bad because clearly they do work for a lot of people. However, I've decided to never do any challenges like that because I know for myself that if I felt I had to declutter an arbitrary number of items each day for a certain number of days, I would end up feeling like I was decluttering things for the sake of decluttering, and that I might actually declutter things I didn't really want to get rid of. If decluttering challenges work for you, then go for it. We're all different. We've all got to do what works best for us. It might be that decluttering challenges work for people who are at the beginning of their decluttering journey, if you like, so they've got plenty of stuff that they can declutter and it's unlikely that they're going to struggle to declutter items each day. Whereas if you've been doing decluttering a while and you've got it quite honed in, a decluttering challenge might be a bit trickier. But if for you a decluttering challenge feels too much pressure, it feels like you're going to struggle to declutter something every day or a certain number of items every day, if that's going to put too much stress on you, then don't do them. Another tip that can ruin your decluttering is checking what other minimalists are doing. I think it's great to pick up tips and guidance from other minimalists as to what they're doing with their decluttering. I did that and that really helped me to get started on my minimalist and decluttering journey. However, there's a risk that it could go too far the other way. You could end up comparing yourselves to these other minimalists and feeling like you're not doing what they're doing or living up to how well they're doing with their decluttering. And then you could end up feeling like it's just not worth it because you can't possibly do decluttering as well as these other people are doing it. So by all means, get inspiration from other minimalists, but just remember, we're all on our own individual journeys. We're all in different situations. So don't feel that you have to do things the way that other people are. Make sure it works for you. And tip number 4 that can ruin your decluttering is planning your declutter. Now, I know I've suggested planning as being an important tip in the decluttering process, and on the whole, I stand by it. However, the reason I think planning could ruin your decluttering is that you get too stuck in the planning stage and you don't move on to the action phase of actually decluttering. Regardless of how much planning you do, just be aware that decluttering is likely to be a mentally and emotionally challenging process. The planning aspect isn't necessarily going to take all the stress away from it, and that's okay. This is all part of the learning process, and there is lots of learning that you will do. Just because you get stressed, just because it's mentally or emotionally challenging, doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. You're a human being, and you are getting rid of things, some of which you are going to have emotional attachments to. So be kind to yourself, get a plan together, but don't get stuck there. And if you would like some decluttering tips that will help you to keep your home clean and clutter-free, then check out the video that's on the screen. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.